Salutations world, this is Rob Candell. It is 10 a.m. PST on the nose, April 13th, 2017. Very excited, as always, to be here, doing the tough love, saying the truth, impacting the world, and, generally just trying to get some good nookie in the world. That's really what this is all about. It's really about me getting nookie. Nookie, of course, can mean many things to many people. I'll leave it up to your imagination of what that means. I am so stoked for this show. We have my good friend, Arielle, coming on the show to talk about the topic of a woman's ego. And I'm going to get to that in a second. Last week's show kicked my ass in really positive ways because we talked about a man's ego, and it was super fun. I just felt the depth of the show and how important it was, and it was a message. And then I took this little clip that I'm about to release to the Facebook viral gods to hopefully spark it up about why I don't teach men to touch anymore. And I've been talking about and thinking about it, and I really want to do a follow-up show. And the thought of me doing a show on a woman's ego basically scared the shit out of me, to be honest. Like, I could have pulled it off and probably been entertaining, somewhat informative, and not put my foot in my mouth too many times. But I thought it would just be much more powerful to bring my buddy, Arielle, on the show. So let's do that now without further ado. Hello, darling.
Hello, my dear. How are you?
Good. How's it going today?
I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy that you're happy to be here. That's awesome. Okay, good. It's a love fest. It's a
total love fest.
Love fest. That's the way we like it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so way where this is going to work is Arielle is going to speak for a few moments, and then we're going to have a little dialogue and discussion about a woman's ego. I'm going to throw in my points. She'll throw in her points. We'll probably agree on most of it, but maybe a few debates will occur in the next 20 to 22 minutes. Then our new friend Dakota is going to come on the line. She's going to be coached. The brave Dakota is going to be coached by both of us on the topic that she decides. And let's just get started. So, actually, you want to just introduce yourself, tell the world who you are?
Yeah, so my name is Arielle Brown, and I'm a coach specifically on helping people create the relationships that they truly want but have never experienced. And I do one-on-one coaching. Then I also facilitate groups called Essential Intimacy, where a bunch of people gather together and we play these different communication games that allow you to kind of reveal your true essence so we can create authentic relationships, real relationships that have meaning and substance and juice and all those wonderful things.
Awesome. And you're a woman.
I am a woman.
And you're a woman on a journey.
That is definitely correct.
So let's talk about a woman's ego. When I came on, I talked to you about the topic. You said a few ideas, a few thoughts you'd like to share. So I just want to give you the floor.
Awesome. So I've been coaching majoritively women for the past 4 or 5 years. And amidst that, as you said, I've been a woman on a journey for my entire life. And a big focus of that for me has been romantic relationship. That's really been where the juicy spot is for me. And in my explorations, what I've noticed is this resistance on the part of women to really allow themselves to have the type of love, the type of connection, the type of intimacy that they truly desire with men. And I want to acknowledge that I'm speaking for heterosexual people, men attracted to women, women attracted to men. I acknowledge there's way more. I'm speaking about heterosexual experiences here. And what I root this or connect this to is kind of like the post-feminist movement. It's the feminist movement in itself was an incredibly important, incredibly powerful experience around women feeling equal and being treated equally. And in many ways that is important, yet we have to acknowledge that there are natural differences that exist in men and in women. And what I see is that a lot of women these days are walking around trying to be men. I don't need men, I am independent, I am strong, I have clear boundaries, and it's great in a lot of ways, but we wind up, I'm not going to say because I'm a product of this as well, we often wind up pushing away the very connection that it is that we desire from men, and often shaming the very qualities in men that if they could be exalted and expressed without shame would really be the things that turn us on. And what I find is I live in a very kind of alternative, conscious, hippie-oriented town. And it's a beautiful example of so many of the men here are almost castrated in a way. Like there's a very effeminate quality to them. And I feel like men are almost afraid of being like like, I'm going to let you know that I respect you, and then I'm going to totally take advantage of you. It's kind of like how I say it. Like, as a man, I want to know that you respect me, and then I want you to handle me. Like, I want that. And what I find is that a lot of women, we push that away. And that's the spot that I feel really, really passionate about is, okay, so we want this quality from men. We want them to be strong. We want them to be that steady, grounded pull. We want them to like be the type of person that can handle us so well or hold us so well that we can just unravel. And that we simultaneously have this fear of doing that. So really starting to look at, where do we as women push away men when really we can actually invite them in more?
Okay, so let me ask you a question. That's great. Great start. So what is it about a woman's ego that's created this scenario? What do you think it is? Is it because of the post-feminist movement, because women so struggled and continue to struggle for equality, that now they need to be self-sufficient? Is the woman's ego crying out to be like men or independent? What does the woman's ego want?
God, I feel like the woman's ego wants permission to be all the things that we've been told are too much.
Okay.
Like we live in a world where like irrationality, intuition, magic, emotionality, all these things that are the feminine, they're kind of minimalized or marginalized or called like crazy. And I know for me, I like, part of the reason I'm in this work in the first place is because I've spent so much time just validating the fact that how I feel is deeply important. And even if I can't justify or logically explain why it is so, that does not make it any less valid than like a scientific formula.
Okay, so this might get me in trouble. I'm
Go for it.
acknowledging that for the record. But, when I was a kid, I was an overweight kid and I was bullied. Like, the kids used to pick on me and call me Barrier. My middle name's Barry, which is a horrible middle name, but I was a child of the 70s. But Barrier, and they used to tease me, and I was, and then what I learned was, if I was a better bully than the bullies and I outbullied them, they would stop bullying me, if that makes sense. And it worked. Like, I just got meaner, faster, smarter, sharper, crueler on some level. And and that was a big guy, right? And they were just like, oh, I can't, bully this guy anymore. And so they stopped bullying me. And when you were talking, I was like, is that what's happening with women? They have been so persecuted throughout the generations. And now what they're doing is somewhat, I'm not saying persecute men, but just sort of fight back so they won't be persecuted.
Oh, I mean, I'm not going to get you in trouble for that. I mean, that's a very similar thing that I would say to a lot of the women that I coach. Like, where are you punishing men? Like, where are you making a man work for it simply because you feel like he deserves it and it has nothing to do with him?
Right. Right. There's this great guy. I want to get on the show. It's a long shot. I think his name is Stephen Huffy, and he's a dating coach for women. And he's fucking hilarious. And I just been calling it. I have a bromance, a bromance, bro crush on him. And he said this great thing in this thing. He says, it's fine for women to ask out men, but men need to show up and have the investment. And I thought that was really good. It's like there's a level of investment that men need to make. And I think in terms of a woman's ego, and I've been talking to, a lot of women my entire life, especially my entire career, there's some level of commitment and investment that men need to penetrate a woman's ego for the woman to feel like they're ready to show up. I don't know if that made any sense whatsoever.
Well, I'll speak to like the current partnership that I have. It's like what I love about one of the things that I really love about the partnership with the man that I have is that everything that I thought was too much, like all of like my ambivalence, because I love being ambivalent, and he gets turned on and will stay in those spots where most men would get bored, busy, like burnt out. And that is huge for me.
It's so funny. You were saying ambivalent, And I don't know if it was my impression or your projection, but that had a negative connotation to it. Did it? Did it? I mean, that's the thing. It does.
But like, but here's the thing. Ambivalence can be great, but if you stagnate in it, I think it can just burn a lot of energy without actually channeling it into anything.
Right. Okay. Well, like anything, if you stay too long, it turns to rot. I mean,
exactly.
Even the best chocolate ice cream, you leave it out in the sun, that shit's melted. You know, like you got to eat that stuff fast.
But then it's chocolate soup.
Dairy free, of course, gluten dairy free. But my point is like, okay, so your guy can handle you and approves of your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is a big piece of what a woman's ego wants, is simply the permission to be a woman and all the characteristics that aren't men.
Yeah, and like to not feel like it's weakness. You know, that's the biggest thing. Like I spoke to you on Monday when we were talking about this show that he's been naming some things in me that like I have work to do on. And to just feel that what makes me a woman is what makes me powerful versus what makes me like weak or like less than a man, because there's some pretty deep conditioning. And I have no desire to be a victim of it, but I think it's important to just acknowledge it. So to have a man who can really like help me to feel like the attributes that make me a woman, if I can really lean into them and be in permission of them, are what makes me powerful. It's a wonderful thing.
Okay. Boy, we got kind of a complicated game board at the moment. There's lots of like little open pieces. So I'm going to try to masculinize it and sort of connect the dots.
Welcome to my world.
I know. I love it. I love it. Okay. So let's go back to the point where women are acting more like men, which I agree with. You know, someone just said women are acting more like men and men are acting more like boys. And what's happening in our society is that the turn of feminism, as it rises, women are actually turning more to their masculinity because of the unsafe nature of the rise of the feminine. And so in that, the woman wants to be handled. She wants permission, but because she doesn't feel permission from the men to be all in their feminine, her ego then says, well, fuck it. I'll just be more like a man. I will outman these men.
Yeah. And then what winds up happening, it's like, you know, I spent the first half of my 20s attracting a lot of men who I didn't actually respect and I didn't really enjoy my sexual experience with, and I wasn't actually attracted to. But because I was so attached to a more masculine way of being in the world, I feel like that was what was resonant for me. So it's like, we as women have to get clear on like what types of men do we actually want to attract into our life, and what do we need to release? What do we need to work with within ourselves to actually invite that type of energy in?
Okay. So different topic, different concept. You know, I've been talking, this has shown up in my world about 4 times in the last week, is this concept of the woman's vigilance center, her security, her safety. And, you know, I'm talking to a couple couples, or a woman in a couple, and basically saying that the woman doesn't feel like safe in her womanhood, and doesn't feel safe if her guy goes out and, you know, flirts or makes out with other people, even if they're in an open relationship. So let's talk about security, a woman's ego. How would you prescribe, what would you say to a man that would help a woman feel safer and more secure in a relationship?
Yeah, I would say, I love this one because I've been doing a lot of work around jealousy in my current relationship.
Personal examples. We love personal examples.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in an open relationship right now, and like, good. Like he actually just texted me this morning. We're starting a project together. He's like, hey, I had a makeout with this woman last night who's a PhD and she's going to do our research for us. And I was like, oh. And for me, the greatest thing that he's done to get me to a point where I can say yes to that is like be in approval of my jealousy and like wanna feel it. Like wanna feel my jealousy and just be transparent about it. Because if I feel myself solidly anchored with my man, and I can feel like I got him, like our love is there, then I can actually start to get turned on by him going out and having these connections with women because he shares them with me. It's like once I feel the anchor between us, I'm way more open to him going out and like enjoying himself because he's not hiding it from me. But once I feel like he's trying to cut off, or like I can sense it immediately. So as long as I feel openness and a connection around it, even if it's uncomfortable, like it's shifted from being something I don't want to hear about to something that kind of turns me on and is this edgy thing that I'm like, oh. So that's my experience right now.
Okay. So in terms of your partner, making out with the ladies, your ego has to be involved in that piece. What does your ego say about it when it feels totally secure? What does your ego say about it when it doesn't feel so secure?
Oh, okay. Let's start with when it's not secure because there's been way more there.
Okay.
God, like, fuck. Well, I want to like demonize the woman.
Okay.
Like, I want to hear about the things that like isn't good about her, the places where she's fucked up or not awesome. And the ego in me also wants to make it feel like he's abandoning me. Like it's this either or thing, and that I should pull back and protect myself because like he's doing this thing, and if he really loved me, that he wouldn't be choosing anyone else. So that's been a hard stop because I want to feel like I'm the only one. Like like I want to feel like I'm the only one.
Yeah.
And then when I'm secure, and I'm just recently starting to feel this, it's kind of like holy fuck, like look, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse.
You're allowed to.
Okay, like holy fuck, like look at the connection that this man and I have. Well, we get to play in this way and we're so solid with each other that like there's this whole new element. And it's like we're talking about bringing another woman into our relationship for some play together, and just it's like it winds up just becoming a deeper and richer thing that actually feels an even deeper connection with him. And that's something I'm really enjoying playing with and exploring.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We got a chat from someone. Perry wrote, "Oh my God, that's not his job," with the monkey, cover face on it. And I want to be really clear. It's not the man's job to have a woman feel secure. To me, and I'll just speak personally, it's my opportunity to have a deeper connection with Morgan as a choice. Like it's not a job to do anything for my lady. It's my opportunity. It's my practice. It's my mastery to have a woman feel so powerful and secure. It's purely a choice and my choice alone.
Yeah. And like, I want to add to that also, because I do agree that it's not his job. And that's been the interesting spot of simultaneously feeling like I don't want to need anyone. And simultaneously feeling the power of the right combination of a man and a woman together and what is available through that. And it's like an interesting paradox because it's exactly what you said. There's a beautiful nourishment there, but there's a lot of inner work that needs to be done to get to the point where like, you've got yourself. And then you can bring in that connection where there's a beautiful synergy between those two things. Okay.
So we got a couple of minutes left. The question I want to leave you with on the topic of a woman's ego, man, this 20 minutes go fast. So fast. So in today's world, I think it's getting harder and harder to feel self-validating and self-secure. It's harder for a woman to feel beautiful. It's, with all the negative messaging and all the masculinity that's going on from the White House down to your house, how do you work with your ego? How do you stroke your own ego? How do you continue to feel beautiful and self-validating? What are your techniques for that?
Well, the first thing that came to mind is like surrounding yourself with community that really values who you are. Like surrounding yourself with community that really values substance and what is beneath the skin, so that you're surrounding yourself with people who like have substance. And then The other piece for me is like, I really let myself have my emotional experience. Like, rather than trying to bypass sadness, rather than trying to bypass anger, bypass jealousy, is like, give myself the space, like give myself the space to drop in and feel the emotions. Because when we give ourselves the space to do that, it's self-validating. It's like saying to your higher self, to whatever it is, like, hey, I value what you're feeling, what you're wanting to express, so I'm going to give you the space to actually feel it all.
Beautiful. Yeah, I totally agree. It's also just being right with who you are. I mean, from the childhood up, Morgan's kids, we demonstrate this a lot. It's totally right to have all your feelings, and it's like, what do you want to learn from them? What's the emotion trying to tell you? What's the sense underneath the emotion? I think that's really empowering.
Yeah.
All right.